Start. Hello, Finance for Life fans. My name is Artha Atal, and we are back with another episode of the Finance for Life podcast. Here with me today is Mr. Gupta, and he is the managing director at Cedar, Sinai. He works with world-class scientists and entrepreneurs to build companies and platforms that address healthcare needs. And also, he holds a bachelor's and doctor's degree in pharmaceutical sciences. He really is a financial guru who invested seed funds in equity and has multiple successful financial exits. It will be really interesting for me, as well as you guys, to learn such valuable information from him. So without further ado, sit back and enjoy this wonderful podcast. And before we dive into the financial and analytical discussions, I'd like to start with a brief introduction of Mr. Gupta. So to kick things off, Mr. Gupta, can you please introduce yourself and your field of work? And can you describe what you do in your field?
Thank you, Arthur, and great to be here. As you mentioned, my background is I'm a pharmacist, and I have completed a PhD in pharmaceutical sciences. I work in the field of medical innovation, where I work with a lot of scientists and clinicians. These are all world-class key opinion leaders and innovators in the field of medical and healthcare innovation. And what I do is I work with industry and other investors and many other stakeholders outside to really incubate, accelerate, and do venture building and manage these ventures and some programs across in many different areas of the specializations. So that's my background.
Nice, nice. And can you describe a little bit of, what you do in your like day, what you do in that field?
Yeah, so I think, as I said, it's all about medical innovation for us. Our focus is on really the first in class, the best in class, the major breakthroughs, right? So we don't do anything that's just a little bit incrementally better, or something that you're just tweaking to make something
Yeah.
different. The work that I do along with my partner innovators and partners other places outside of US, is we really look at, okay, what could be a first diagnostic product for diagnosing certain types of cancer early. Because what we know is, if you can diagnose cancer early, it has about at least 80-90% of chances that you can save the patient. Many clinical unmet areas where there is no diagnosis or treatment available. And these areas are brought to our attention by our clinician scientists, who have been really studying these areas for like 20-30 years. And now they have a scientific lead about solving that problem. So I work with a variety of stakeholders across in this spectrum, to see which 2 or 5 out of the 100 ideas that would make sense to develop and then further advancing into being a product that is available for clinicians and for the patient benefit. So that's really what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Nice. That's all amazing. You really, saving lives, helping with innovations. That's all great. And another reason I really asked that question is because, for the people watching, they really want to, if they like see what you do, they can get intrigued by it, keep watching the video, and that can really spark their interest in that field. And that brings me to another question, which is what really sparked your interest in joining the field? And can you share a little backstory on how you got to where you are right now?
So that's an interesting question, and it kind of like takes me back, when I was in your age, or at that time, I was like very much interested in the medical. So I kind of made that move into being medical in the medical space. I did my undergrad, and when I was finishing my undergrad, I was sort of more intrigued by just doing more research and more. I was really intrigued by innovation, so I kind of like pursued PhD. And when I was finishing my PhD, I realized my interest was not just in the bench science. My interest really was to see these scientific ideas translate into product, and that has impact on patients' life, that has impact on making healthcare more affordable, accessible, effective, efficient. And that's kind of when I asked myself, like, hey, what should I be doing? Should I just take a job as a scientist and continue to work on one specific problem, um, for 5, 10 years of my life, or should I continue to go for more higher education and do a postdoc and become a professor, myself? But I realized, my interest was always in translation, and translation means not more research and publications and grant. Translation for me was like really seeing products come out of it, and the only path through which research discoveries translates uh, um, to translates to being available as a product is through commercialization, through monetization, through intellectual property advancement and development. And that's when I've figured out about this field. And I always wanted to do early stage innovation. So most of the early stage innovation in the medical field happens in universities and academic medical centers, major academic medical centers. So that's kind of just asking, the question of like, hey, what I want to do for like next 10, 15, 20 years of my life led me
Yeah.
to really, I think, figuring things out, and which I'm pretty happy about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, innovation is a topic that, it intrigues me as well because, when you innovate something, when it works, what's how you have a breakthrough, that sense of accomplishment also feels amazing. You're saving lives, you're doing amazing.
Yeah, there
So,
was one other thing, I really when you get to that, I wanted to, just given my I think the family background, or like maybe just more influenced by my parent, sort of that social impact and social good was very hard coded in my desire that I wanted to choose a profession where it's just not about monetization and the money value, but really tangible impact. So that was sort of another reason why when I found out about this particular field that I'm in, I was like, no brainer, because I get that additional check boxes.
yeah, influence can be a major factor of that too. And another thing is like, once you have that idea in mind, once you know what you're gonna do, it's really how do I get there? So I wanted to ask, what are some like skills or qualifications that really helped you advance in your career? And this can range from like just, good communication skills, good extracurriculars, stuff like that.
So this is where I'll give you an answer, which is not about like, hey, I wanted to acquire more and more technical, skill set. As if you will look at anything that may be around you, maybe just the Zoom thing that we're using, maybe your laptop and iPad, right? It's not a creation of one person who is technically competent to just create the whole thing. It's a team, right? But somebody who really leads that team, what are the characteristic of that person? And I kind of was reading a lot of books and reading a lot of biographies, reading a lot of, I think, interviews, and realized that, hey, what is something very valuable is actually simple things: creativity, curiosity, entrepreneurship, being able to figure out, what is entrepreneurship. It's okay, I want to be on this path. You really need to understand that you have to be there for like 5, 10, 15, 20 years before you reach that desired inflection of what you're trying to accomplish, the reason for which you chose, that path. And that is really, charting the unknown. Right, because it would have been easy for me to just simply take a job as a scientist or simply take a job as a project scientist or become, those are like very linear path. Versus here, I am going mostly by means of what my desire is, right? Which is so I think the you asked about the qualities, and I think these qualities of like being curious, what's in your mind, really sort of creatively thinking about something as a career, choice, and then really putting in a lot of that hard work, and you have to be persistent. Those things are given, whether you play sports, whether you play, you
Yeah.
know, say, you have to be hardworking. Without that, you can't really, realize. But I think being entrepreneurial is something very, very key in
Mm.
this.
Yeah,
That
no. I say curiousness would actually, curiousness, having the determination to do something that could bring you a long way, no matter what field of work you're in.
absolutely.
If you really have that drive, then you can do it. You can reach that goal. And one thing I wanted to ask was, this is mainly for, the viewers watching, is can you describe a typical day at work? Because, if you're a viewer, you're watching this, you're intrigued by this, then they would like to know what is one typical day at work.
Yeah, well, every day is different, as you can imagine, because given the areas that I'm focusing my time on. But at a high level, every single day I'm working with the scientist and clinician innovator, really looking at the technical problem and the product solution that we are trying to create, and invest time in seeing what progress have we made, where we are, where do we need to go, what is our next inflection point, that. Then I spend a lot of time with my team, because I have a very capable and cross disciplinary team. So spending time with them and really giving them uh, the the instructions, and giving them sort of the decisions of where I'm needed, is very important to keep things moving. And then as well, I spend a lot of time with the startup CEOs, and really understanding where the company that already has a product, where is that on a journey of being able to reach its next inflection. I'm also a board of directors on a handful of companies. So I also then look at from a governance perspective, from like other investors that are part of um, investor pool, in these companies that I work with. So that's that's kind of the broad pie chart of where most of my time get spent. And then at a functional level, every day is a different areas that I'm focusing. Someday I'm doing cancer, someday I'm doing software, someday I'm doing regenerative medicine, that type of things.
Yeah, no, that's all really interesting. I'm actually getting intrigued by this. I'm sure a lot of people watching are. But one question I actually had was, during your work, during when you're working, one new thing in this world, AI, better technology. So I was wondering, how has AI really impacted your work of field? And do you think like how does AI and machine learning really either help or harm you?
Well, I think as where we are in this particular area of AI and machine learning, absolutely, the possibilities are just tremendous, right? In the healthcare and the medical innovation field, as you would understand, there is a lot of regulation involved. There is a lot of um, uh, other barriers, to entry. It takes a little bit of time for any product and solution that is AI and machine learning based, to first be really tried and tested and evaluated whether if it should be really brought in for the patient, use. And we always do this risk benefit analysis. About is there a net positive outcome that this product and solution could do. So there is definitely a areas where we are seeing implementation of the AI based solution. These areas are where, let's say when I have my the medical sort of the doctor's visit, I could just interact with through a AI chat platform to find where to park, and if I can reschedule my appointments, and those type of things, which brings in a lot of satisfaction, and removes a lot of anxiety, as a patient and as a service seeker. But there are other deeper areas of where you're thinking about AI based medical diagnosis, or diagnosing cancer, or diagnosing, heart diseases or managing heart diseases. Those I think are going to take a little bit of time. So I think overall, I would say in our area, it's slow, but we are seeing implementation of AI-based technologies and product solutions. But in the deeper sort of the um, areas of science, there's still a lot of discussion and debate about where AI could be useful. But overall, very very promising.
Yeah, do you think in the just follow-up question, do you think in the future AI could really, take over jobs? Because one thing I read, the number one job in over like half the states is taxis, Ubers, all that. So, do you think AI would eventually take over jobs, take over your like the work that you do, or do you think humans are still um important, they have value?
Look, I think ever since the computers were invented, or even I would say go back to calculators, right? This question has always come up: whether do we now need humans, right? So
Yeah.
what we used to do in a paper-based accounting is now all done through Microsoft Office and Excel and the databases. Did humans lose the job? I think the ones that didn't upgrade and didn't really evolve, where the technology can be a augment, technology can be an assistance, technology can be a support. Um, Obviously, there is an attrition among those humans, and the jobs that they can really
Yeah.
get to. I think similarly, I see with the AIs, definitely the landscape will change. There will be certain um, not job, but the functions that I think technology can really do better, than human. But I think it also creates a need for those humans to really do something better by using the technology that is available, to them.
Yeah.
And for that, we have to invest a little bit of time and upgrading ourselves, right? So I don't have really an answer of like one way or another. I think it's just going to be over the next 5, 10 years.
Mhm.
There is going to be a shift in like what the human needs are and for what. And I think I'm sure um, it will be something about more impact and more value to the society by really using technology. And the ones who would not be able to upgrade to just learn and see the benefit and use the benefit of technology, well, I think have some challenges.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in 5 to 10 years, AI, all these developments, like the world will be completely different. But I also think, humans are obviously, they are the ones inputting the information to the AI. So I think it will really, just be, I just will see in 10 years how developments come, how the world, processes this new AI. And one question I had was actually kind of related to a bit of finance is what are some mistakes that people would make when they're investing? And do you have any tips for investing?
Well, I think my domain of investment is different than like the personal investments, because I'm in a venture capital world. I invest in companies, I invest in enterprises, I invest in
Yeah.
technologies. But one thing that I can generalize, whether if it's your, job related, investment and management of, funds, or whether if it's your personal domain. I think it is very important to have clear sort of an idea of what you're trying to achieve, what your, the milestones are. uh, if you're investing, and co-investing with others, you need to really be make sure that you have the right partners, your alignment, is there. Um, it's also important to just sort of have an horizon alignment on the horizon, whether okay, are we doing short term, mid term, and long term? In my world, we we always look for those investors and partners who really have a long-term horizon on their investment return, because we know no matter how hard, no matter how um, sort of a capable teams that we are investing into, things takes time, and healthcare and life sciences innovation is not an area where things can it just inherently slow, right? So that's the advice that I will make. I think it's very important to have clear set of goals in your mind, and the time horizons.
Yeah. Do you think, just to follow up, do you think, you mentioned short term, you mentioned long-term investing. So do you think, short-term investing could have a higher risk, higher reward, or do you think long-term investing is the right way to go?
Well, look, I'm a scientist, right? So I would say it's very simple if you just apply the principle of science that, anything where you look for to achieve um, some tangible gains in short term is going to be risky, right? But at the same time, I don't think long term just completely de-risks you, right? Um, so I think in general, I would say yes. I think long term, if your expectations are aligned for more long term, you're really looking for more average, output, let's say on an yearly basis. You can manage, I think, your risk better with that perspective. So it's low risk versus in short term, it's short term, right? So it is going to have some high degree of risk involved compared to long term.
Yeah. And, again, relating to the stock market, what do you think about medical companies, pharmaceuticals, and healthcare industries? What do you think about them, really in the stock market? How do you think they're valuable in the stock market, et cetera?
To be honest, I'm not, I'm more of a private investors, private equity and venture, capital investor. I am not, I don't have a great deal of an expertise in the public, market. So I would rather say, I don't know, and I can say, much about it because I don't monitor,
Yeah.
a lot of, public companies across the board.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
I
what?
don't want to provide any information that's just not going to be very, useful or
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very confidential.
So, one question I have was relating to your field, what is one piece of advice that you would give people watching if they were really, if they were intrigued, if they're interested in this podcast? What is one piece of advice you would give for them to pursue this career?
I think I would assume, the folks who are watching this podcast are individuals like yourself and maybe, a little bit more advanced. Um, I think it's very important that you, as well and as much, what you want to do, uh, broadly which area you want to be in. It is equally important that you also sort of know your personal attributes, and really ask yourself, hey, what is your true genuine interest and passion? And does that align, with the career choice that you're making? And if if you're very convinced about that those two are aligned, right? Just be, be willing to work hard. Just be willing to, I think, have the ability to go through the ups and downs. Think about it in a long term, but long term doesn't mean that, oh, you think about 10 years and you don't do anything, and for the year 5, 6, and 7. You have to set your goals for like year 1, year 3, year 5, year 10, right? That's kind of how I have thought about things. So that really will be my advice, and I'll feel quite I feel quite confident uh, that things will work out, and things will work out really well in your favor, because people think like, oh, somebody got lucky and somebody, didn't. There is always luck involved, and chances, but if you kind of uh, approach things in a way that I just said, I think, you can make your own luck, and
Yeah.
you will get lucky.
Yeah. And no, I agree with all of that, really, if you have passion, if you have a drive, then whatever that passion is, if you really put hard work into it, if you have determination, you can make it happen no matter what. And, you just really got to get through those obstacles. So then one follow-up question I had was, what obstacles have you had along the way and how have you overcame those obstacles?
Well, one of the things that I can think about is science is inherently challenging. Nobody can really, when I'm seeing some early stage data and thinking, hey, I want to build a product and an actual solution out of it. Not necessarily, science will cooperate. Your future couple of years of work can just go down the drain by having, the experiments fail or by having the hypothesis that's driving, the desire for to see that particular product out in the market, may fail. And those setbacks are difficult in the sense, you put in a lot of years of work and now all of a sudden, it's just not working. So there is that. Um, and uh, and I think, sometime, uh, the changes, such as these macro financial cycles that we get into, those presents challenges. Whether there is no investment available, where without the investments, these companies just cannot advance their products and solution. So those type of things I would think I can think about.
And then the last thing I wanted to say was, you know, this could be, so what is one piece of advice you would give everyone watching on, how to really, when you're innovating, when you're getting a breakthrough, like how do you really do that? Is it more, just research, reading books, reading like information, or is it more, hard work, keep on going and until you really get that breakthrough?
No, well, if you just simply keep on working hard, I don't think that can just give you, a breakthrough or a success. Well, one thing, if you are looking for a particular area of a clinical unmet need, let's say diagnosing early pancreatic cancer, right? And there may be like 50 different approaches that might be out there that people are researching and discovering and testing and trying. Um, I think choose one out of the 50 that you would invest in and you would get behind to advance it to become a product and
Yeah.
solution that potentially could be used by the clinicians in the interest of the patients. um, that's where it's a combination of hard work. But if you put your hard work behind making a very intelligent choice, you have to really ask why this one and not the 49 others,
Yeah.
right? It's easy to get to the 5 out of the 50, right? But it's very difficult to get one out of select that one out of those five to really
Yeah.
put all your hard work behind. So it's a combination of both, is what I think. But you have to be very intelligent about what you choose first, what you really believe in, what the data set and the due diligence that you're doing. And then I would say, yes, definitely put all your hard work, behind it.
Yeah, no, that's all really interesting. This is again, for the viewers, I bet they're really interested. And once again, I just wanted to thank you, Mr. Gupta, for all your valuable time, sharing your knowledge. I myself learned so much from this podcast. I can't imagine how much this will help all the viewers around the world watching. And especially when you said, I think, curiousness and let that, lead your career. You let your passion lead your career. That really stuck with me because, that is something I go by as well. And I think whatever you're passionate in, if you work hard enough, you can achieve that goal. You can achieve whatever you want to do in that career. And once again, this will definitely help out my podcast and all the people willing to gain all this literacy and all the knowledge. And I really appreciate everything. And I hope you guys have learned a lot from this podcast. And yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you, Arthur. Really enjoyed and all the good questions that you have asked. And yeah, you summed it up really well. Be curious, be creative, be entrepreneurial. Whichever discipline that you want to go. And one other thing I would say is failure is a very good thing if it happens early on. So let's say you make a choice and you don't like it, you can switch. You have learned.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're making informed decision about a choice that you have made, but then you have also made an intelligent decision about early on figuring it out that, hey,
Yeah.
this is not something that I'm truly feeling very, passionate,
Yeah.
about. And it's a balance ultimately, because you cannot keep on changing every 6 months. Like, no, I don't like this. Now I don't like this, and all that. So you have to kind of
Yeah.
stay on from a long-term perspective, married to the area that you really want to create a good impact, in the field. But really enjoyed the time here. All the best, and good luck to all your viewers. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much for all this information. Like and subscribe.